My friends, good day. There are people who tell me in the videos, Aldo, you've changed. Your face looks different lately. Yes, so it is different. And it's not just the camera. I've lost about 10 kilos over the last 4 weeks or so. I got an inflammation in my digestive system. That's all. So I'm taking medication and restricting my diet, which means I'm not eating much. And of course, I'm losing weight. So, well, every cloud has a silver lining, as they say. It allows me to get back to a normal point. I've never been completely happy with my weight. And then I wanted to tell you, for those who were asking me about sugar, how do you deal with sugar? I'm going to tell you a story. We are addicted to sugar, but we don't realize it simply because it's not expensive. It's found in almost all our foods, especially, let's say, processed foods. We just have to open the fridge, open any cupboard, and if we're not careful at home, we might end up with maybe half or even three-quarters of our food products being very high in sugar. So at one point, I decided to quit sugar, and I'm still going with it. And I won't hide from you that it was a real struggle. When I say a struggle, that's a polite way of putting it. What does that mean? How was I? Just so I can explain to you how I was. But maybe a lot of people will recognize themselves in this kind of lifestyle. You know, until last year, until the beginning of this year, I was working in information technology. I had a contract that allowed me to work from home. So I was stuck in front of my computer, going from call to call, from teams to teams, from chat to chat. And this is going to shape a way of life where I'll spend my time in front of the desk. On top of that, since this whole health crisis, things have gotten worse. Actually, even before COVID, I had contracts that were 100% from home, but at least they included an agreement that involved very frequent travel. Sometimes I would travel 3, 4 times a month, or even 5 times a month. It wasn't always pleasant, actually, but at least it got me out. Monday morning, a driver would come pick me up. We would go to the airport. And then I was on a plane to, it could be Paris, Belgrade, Dublin, Cork, anywhere really, Frankfurt, it could be anywhere. I traveled often, but to be clear, these weren't pleasure trips. You arrive at the airport, then you go to the hotel, you check in. The next morning, you're in a meeting, all that. Yeah, the only thing you manage to squeeze in between two things is maybe visiting a store, maybe going to a restaurant, but nothing more. The enjoyment of these trips is very limited. And when I bought things for my daughter, like a gift, it was usually at the airport while waiting for my return flight. This pace of life changed with COVID, in the sense that we started working remotely without the trips and doing lots of things that were previously considered unimaginable to do remotely. We started doing them online. Afterwards, when things went back to normal, so to speak, when the health crisis was behind us, the borders were open and there were no more travel restrictions. The stories about passes and stuff kept disappearing all the time. So the world was reopening. It was becoming like before again, which was something almost unthinkable at the time. Well, a lot of people in my company, but also in partner and client companies, realized that in the end, why do we travel when for 2 years we were able to do things remotely? And so those who control the stock market, those who control the finances, realized that there was no point in making people travel. We made them use Zoom, Teams, and similar tools, eliminating travel. So actually, personally, it affected me a lot because I was hoping to go back to my previous routine, but I couldn't. And so it continued. So I kept going with my unhealthy lifestyle. And after a while, of course, I was regularly gaining some weight, but not much. I was never technically or medically obese, but I was always on the edge. I have, for example, my body mass index. I don't know the French term, my body mass index, which indicates whether you're healthy, whether you have a good weight or not. It was in the yellow, not the red, but outside the green. When I had blood tests, they didn't tell me I was diabetic. They told me I was pre-diabetic. That means that at some point my blood tests weren't very good. All right. And I realized that I was eating badly and that I was just ruining myself with my food, that I was eating sugar. fast sugar that allowed me to sprint, that allowed me to access my mental resources, my energy resources, to tackle a problem head on, to solve it with maximum efficiency. Then afterwards, feeling low and going to the kitchen to get something sweet again. When I say something sweet, it wasn't always fruit. It was often, it could be ice cream, it could be cake, it could be cookies, it could be a bottle of soda. It could even be, in the best case, juice, even though I don't really believe in juice today, because as much as it's good to eat a fruit. For example, if I eat, I don't know, tangerines, I might eat 2 or 3 at most. So if I finish a 1-liter bottle of tangerine juice in a day, there might be more tangerine in it than I would normally eat. I would have ended up eating maybe 12 or 14 or 15. I don't know how many they put in each bottle. But actually, juice allows you to consume maybe too much fruit. So now I prefer regular fruit, let's say, and really in small amounts. So I was saying that at one point there was this issue with inflammation. That means I started having pain, stomach pain, pain on the right side of my stomach, sometimes on the left. It could be pains that would come and go, all that. So after a while, I realized that my body was sending me a warning signal. My body was telling me to stop. I had already seen the doctor and visited the gastroenterologist, ending up on a bed or table, or whatever you want to call it, with him looking at my whole system with his, what do you call it, an ultrasound. Does it hurt here? Let me check. Here? No, nothing. This side? Okay, wait, we'll do a full systematic check now. The entire system was anatomical, which is good. I'm running blood tests over 4 pages. They were good except for slightly high cholesterol. Everything else was fine. So the doctor and I ended up having a conversation about lifestyle. That means from now on, I'll have to change. And what I did was I started to change drastically. Let's stop sugar. Sugar was... Today I needed less, but I can tell you that during the first weeks, the first 2 or 3 weeks, it was terrible. I felt drained of my energy. I had no energy left. Sometimes I even had tears in my eyes because I didn't have my fix. I didn't have my chocolate. I didn't have my juice, my soda, my can of Coke. I didn't have any of that. And it was forbidden. And so I really started to feel very bad. You don't realize the degree of addiction until you stop. And actually, at times, I was on the couch. I had tears in my eyes. I was in a kind of depression. I'm not depressive by nature, but I was feeling really bad. My brain felt like it was shutting down. And actually, the phase, I'll tell you, the most intense phase of quitting sugar lasted about 2 weeks, maybe 20 days, roughly. That's the hardest part. When I went through that phase, when I got through it, when it was behind me, what did I notice? I noticed a change in my body. I noticed that my body was working differently. How? I'll tell you. Previously, when I consumed sugar, my body responded in spikes. Each time I needed a sugar spike, so I would have something, I had my energy spike, which didn't last very long. Afterwards, I would have another sugar, and the whole day would go from spike to spike, spike to spike, and so on. Today, I'm not like that. Today, I have a steady energy that's lower than the spike. We agree that's lower than the top of the spike that I can experience with a sugar rush. But it's a very respectable level of energy. I don't feel bad. I don't have tears in my eyes anymore. I don't feel depressed. I feel alive again, but alive in a different way. So regarding food, I realized that I was damaging myself with food, as I described to you at length in this video. So what I decided to do, I decided not to go on a diet because that doesn't make sense. I don't believe in diets. I've done them myself in the past, which were ways of saying, okay, for a while, we're going to forbid ourselves from having this or that. Like at New Year's, we make a decision and then we forbid ourselves from certain things. The problem is I fell back into it. We all agree the diet will last. It'll last until a friend invites us to a birthday or a wedding or something like that. And then we go to a restaurant. We make an exception today, then the next day, and then the day after that. A week later, we realize this diet was just wishful thinking. We're starting to regain the pounds we lost during that part of the diet. So what I decided to do, also taking advantage of the letter the doctor gave me, because the doctor wrote me a letter with a list of forbidden foods. Not banned forever, just for now, until things return to normal. But I decided to change my relationship with food, actually. That means instead of starting with the idea of a diet, I decided to develop another way of eating. Above all, it's about seeing food differently and changing our relationship with it. For example, before I used to eat, I realized I was eating from my tongue. When I say this is good, I like it. What do I mean? I'm talking about the taste on the level of the palate, that it's something I like. And you should know that in our part of the world. And then if I add maybe one more thing, I'm adding this for French speakers or for people who live in the Mediterranean. In general, we have the art of cooking. We have dishes that we really love and all that. And we've developed an almost gustatory relationship with food. But we overlook one thing, food as it passes the palate. And after we've enjoyed it, it's not over. It's going to go into our system. Then some organs will need to handle it. There will be a stomach, intestines, there will be the liver, the pancreas, and the kidneys. A lot of organs that will then have to handle this food. And those ones won't always get to taste it. When we eat processed food, for example, well, we like it, it tastes good. It's usually packed with flavor enhancers, taste boosters, and all of that makes it so that for your palate, it's something good. It's something that can even develop into an addiction. This food is made for that. And afterwards, we're going to consume it. The palate had its pleasure, but the body is destroyed. So today, I'm trying to develop a different relationship with food. When I say food is good, I'm not necessarily thinking about the taste. Is it good for my body? Because my body in the end isn't very different in some ways than a car into which I put fuel. If I like ice cream for its taste, am I going to put it in the car's gas tank? No, I'll clog the engine, it'll stop, smell like caramel, trigger alarms, and the car will stop. Why would I give things to my body that I wouldn't give to my car? Why do I have more consideration for a vehicle than for my body? My body is my vehicle in this life, so why don't I care for it? Why, when I say good food, why don't I think about my liver, my kidneys, my stomach, the rest of my body, my circulatory system, my heart? Why don't I think about that? Why is it that my relationship with food, or the way I judge it, it must begin and end at the tongue and palate. If it's good for the palate, I approve, right? What I do today. So today, I don't have any symptoms at all anymore. Almost none. From time to time, I feel something a little strange, but it's very mild compared to before. I'm taking fewer medications than I was 4 weeks ago. I used to take a lot before. I don't remember how many. I had 3 boxes, and with one. Sometimes I took them all together, sometimes not all of them. I'm talking about 10, 12 pills a day, okay? And now I've cut down. I'm down to 3 a day, and I hope I can cut down even more. All right? In terms of weight, I've lost, as I was saying, about 10 kilos compared to the heaviest you've seen me. If you look at this summer, my face was puffier and all that. Watch the videos. I don't know. Look at the ones from the Maldives. Look at the Patriots Congress. At the Patriots Congress, I'm not hiding it from you. When I watched the playback, when the camera was on me and I watched my image play back on the big screen, I was saying to myself, oh, wow, you look puffy. I looked puffy, and I didn't like myself. I was saying to myself, I look puffy. I really did. So now my clothes are a bit loose on me. I took a jacket that I bought about 2 months ago. I wore it yesterday. And it overlapped. Before, it barely fit. It would just hang like that. Now it overlaps completely. Actually, it overlapped by about 15 centimeters. So that's good. That's good. I'm not saying that. Just to be clear, just so we're on the same page, I'm not suggesting to anyone to lose weight that quickly. I lost it because of illness and because of treatment. Treatment supervised by a gastroenterologist and a laboratory and everything. So it's not something I'm doing out of luxury. It's just something that happened to me. My body mass index for the first time in over 10 years, probably, is now in the green. I checked, it's in the green, my body mass index. That means it is. I'm coming back. I feel better in my body in a way. When I go up the stairs, I do it. I do it willingly. I do it well. So that's good. I'm getting my body back. Even though what bothers me about this sugar-free diet is that I seriously lack energy. I have steady energy, like I was telling you, but I don't have those spikes anymore. So, for example, today, what sweet things have I had? I've had 2 or 3 dates since the beginning of the day, and I had a bit of grapes. Yesterday, I didn't have anything. The day before yesterday, I don't think I did either. All right? But all these sweet products have really disappeared from my life, all right? And I also realized that I can live by eating much less than before, because let me tell you a story. In our modern world, we are being killed by food. We are being intoxicated or poisoned by the food lobby, literally. And we eat more than what is necessary. For example, if we have a lifestyle that, let's say, requires 1,800 calories a day, for instance, well, we can easily end up eating 5,000 or 6,000 a day. Look at the products. When you eat products, look at the boxes and check the number of calories there are. And you'll see that there are huge amounts of calories. Our food is very high in calories, which means, honestly, we can eat much less than what we eat and still be just fine. So what do we end up doing? We end up, since we're following food, either for the taste. People often eat for the wrong reasons, whether out of boredom, stress, or not feeling well. Or we spend the day eating, then go online and order food which gets delivered to us. Maybe we're eating 5,000 calories a day. Of the 5,000, our body uses 1,800 to function. What happens to the remaining 3,200? Those are calories that will weigh down the system, that will put a strain on your organs, that will weigh on your body, on your well-being in the long term. And in the end, they're going to make you gain weight. Just like it happened to me, gaining weight gradually and then inevitably sometimes, because it's hard to come back. Gaining weight is easy, but losing it is difficult. And so today I realized that in the end I can eat until I'm full, much less than what I used to eat before. I don't need to eat more than what I eat. But it's a new relationship that I'm developing. I'm not trying to lecture anyone here, just to be clear. I'm not telling you to do like me. I'm not telling you anything about that. I'm just sharing with you a little bit of my reality today regarding that. What I have right now is kind of disabling because it limits me. The doctor told me I can eat apples. It's not my favorite fruit, but I eat them. I eat 1 a day or less. I can eat what he calls slow sugars. I can occasionally eat a boiled potato with a bit of coarse salt. I can occasionally eat a bit of pasta or a bit of rice. There you go. I eat much less than I used to. Thank you anyway, my friends, for listening up to this point. I'll get back to you later on this topic if you're interested. I'll tell you more about how I'm trying to take charge of my health because I'm fed up with having to deal with warnings from my body. Occasionally, I get eczema, pain, or symptoms and visit my general practitioner. Each time I'm told there's nothing wrong and to go home. I want to live. I want to live healthily. And today I realize that you shouldn't go from crisis to crisis. You shouldn't go through your whole life with little health problems like that. Eventually, you must find something lasting and commit for long-term sustainability. This allows you to respect your body and live better day by day and in the long term as well. Thanks for watching this video until now. I hadn't planned to discuss this when I started the video. I meant to talk about something else. Honestly, when I started the video, I was going to talk to you about people say artificial intelligence threatens their jobs and so on. So I ended up discussing it, all right? In my videos, I often plan a topic but end up discussing something else. Thank you, my friends, and I'll see you next time.